You're about to see garden fences like you've never imagined, not from expensive stores or fancy catalogs, but made from things most people would throw away. An old ladder, broken mirror, cracked wood? In the right hands, they become a shimmering herb wall or a sunlit mosaic that hums with life. This isn't just DIY, it's backyard alchemy. Stick around, timestamps are included so you can skip to your favorite ideas. And if you've got questions, we're here. Let's build something magical together. One bottle blossom fence. Have you ever looked at an empty plastic bottle and thought, this could be magic? In a quiet countryside garden kissed by early morning light, something extraordinary is growing, not just flowers and herbs, but imagination itself. Here, discarded bottles don't end up in landfills. They bloom. Soft green, coral red, buttery yellow, sky blue. Every bottle is hand-cut, carefully curled, and painted into flower petals that glow like stained glass when the sun hits just right. They rise from the earth like giant wildflowers, dancing among real lavender, basil, and strawberries nestled below. Butterflies visit them without hesitation, as if they've always belonged. There's something deeply satisfying about it, not only because it's beautiful, but because it's born of intention. These fences aren't just decoration. They protect. They organize. They transform forgotten corners of the yard into sanctuaries, not only for plants, but for children wandering barefoot through peppermint patches, collecting blueberries, or whispering secrets into tulip-shaped bottles. And the best part? You can make it too. All it takes is a few plastic bottles, clear ones, colorful ones, the ones you were about to toss into the bin. Cut the bottoms into petals. Flip them. Stack them. Paint them with soft, matte pastels. Mount them on bamboo sticks or old garden stakes. Let them rise with pride along your vegetable beds, winding beside tomato vines and rows of lettuce. Want to add even more charm? Thread jute twine between each flower bottle for a rustic touch. Or hang small upcycled watering cans between the gaps. They'll catch rain, glimmer, and nourish the plants below. You'll find that once you begin, the garden starts talking back, inviting you to see what else can become beautiful. This isn't about perfection. It's about wonder. So let the children help. Let them paint. Let the tomatoes grow up through flower fences made of yesterday's trash, and the carrots lean gently against sparkling pink borders made from soft drink bottles. You're not just building a fence, you're building a story. And after this, you'll never look at trash the same way again. Two, rustic crate garden wall. There's something incredibly comforting about old wood. Its knots, its scars, its softness after years of wear, all carry stories. And in one quiet corner of a garden, those stories are being retold in a new way. Not as firewood, not as waste, but as the bones of a living, breathing wall of green. Stacked crates and drawers, once forgotten in dusty barns or broken dressers, are now home to rosemary, peppermint, basil, and bursting red strawberries that tumble over the edges like jewels. Some crates stand upright, others lie on their side like open mouths welcoming the sun. Their imperfection is their beauty. Here, the fence is not just a boundary. It's a growing space. A pantry. A sanctuary. It creates structure, yes, but also invites spontaneity. A vine that escapes its drawer. A sprig of thyme leaning into the path. A hidden cherry tomato glowing behind a faded knob. If you look closely, you'll see that the crates don't match. That's on purpose. The mismatched textures bring rhythm to the wall. The weathered wood provides warmth. And in between, tucked like secrets, are tiny planters made from half-open drawers, overflowing with ivy and oregano, their handles still intact, still ready to be pulled. You don't need a grand plan to start something like this. All you need are a few wooden boxes or crates. Don't worry if they're rough, a little sanding, a little love, and they'll be perfect. Stack them in layers like bricks, alternating direction, allowing for sunlight and shadow to fall just right. Fill them with rich soil, then plant what you use most, herbs for tea, lettuce for salads, or edible flowers for joy. A simple trick, place trailing plants at the top so they drape down gracefully, while the bottom crates can cradle root veggies or creeping greens. You can even line the insides with burlap or reuse grocery bags to help hold moisture and soil. And as the plants grow, so does the soul of the garden. Bees come closer. Butterflies land gently. Children pause to pick a strawberry with 2 hands, not wanting to bruise it. The garden becomes a storybook, and this wall, its opening line. Because in the end, beauty doesn't come from newness. It comes from noticing, from reimagining, from taking what was once tossed aside and giving it purpose again. Three, charming tin can trellis. Sometimes, the most unexpected magic grows from things we nearly throw away. A humble tin can, dented, faded, once holding soup or peaches, finds its way back to the garden. But not as trash. As treasure. Here, in the soft morning sun, they hang gently on wooden and wire trellises, now dressed in hand-painted patterns of daisies, dots, stripes, and petals. One by one, they cradle the roots of pansies, peas, snapdragons, and ivy. The colors are tender, mint greens, butter yellows, and rose pinks, each one reflecting the warmth of a garden that has learned to embrace imperfection. And they don't just look beautiful. They do beautiful. Tin cans are the perfect size for vertical gardening, lightweight, sturdy, and surprisingly versatile. You don't need matching cans. In fact, the charm lies in the variety. Simply punch a small drainage hole in the bottom, paint or decorate to your heart's content, then hang them like pockets of life along a wooden lattice or a recycled fence. Let your creativity bloom as freely as the flowers. Paint flowers, stars, or even names of herbs directly onto the cans. Use leftover ribbons or jute string for a handmade feel. For a more polished look, attach hooks and hang the cans from an old iron trellis or even a metal baking rack. And what should grow in them? Let nature decide. Some gardeners fill them with fragrant herbs like oregano and thyme. Others invite morning glories to climb and spill. Tomatoes love to tumble down from higher rows, their bright red fruits brushing against marigolds below. Even edible nasturtiums and climbing cucumbers thrive in this hanging haven. There's something almost childlike about it, like building a castle from scrap or painting dreams into the air. And when the sunlight filters through the foliage, when the wind rustles the leaves and the scent of fresh rosemary reaches your nose, you'll know this isn't just a fence. It's a celebration. A celebration of reuse. Of small spaces turned abundant. Of life rising from the simplest, humblest materials. This is the kind of garden that welcomes laughter, barefoot mornings, buzzing bees, and quiet joy. So next time you open a tin can, don't toss it. Give it a second life, and in return, it may just give you a moment of peace. 4. Mosaic mirror fruit fence. There are gardens that grow in rows, in symmetry, in predictable boxes. And then there are gardens like this, where even light itself becomes part of the harvest. A wall once dull, plain, and forgotten is now alive, covered in fragments of broken mirrors, old tiles, and shattered glass, reborn as a mosaic of reflection and life. It catches the sky, the trees, and the laughter of children walking past. It reflects dreams. In between the flickers of sunlight, woven baskets hang effortlessly. Strawberries dangle like rubies. Tomatoes ripen in the warmth of the midday sun. The air is scented with basil and rosemary, tucked lovingly in the arms of each basket. Lavender grows nearby, buzzing with bees, as grapevines stretch their arms across the lower fence like dancers in slow motion. This isn't just a fence. It's a canvas, a shimmering backdrop for life to flourish. The beauty lies not in perfection, but in pieces. Each shard of mirror tells a story of something broken that found its way back into beauty. The uneven lines, the hand-cut curves, the mix of colors, they whisper to you that recycling isn't about restoring the old, it's about imagining the new. To recreate something like this, you don't need to be an artist. Just gather what you've kept for someday: a chipped dish, an old mirror, a cracked vase. Cut or break them into small pieces, carefully, always safely, and glue them onto a weatherproof board or directly onto your fence. Leave space between each piece to let the light in. That's where the magic happens. And above all, don't forget the life. Add hooks for baskets, real ones made from rattan or repurposed metal frames. Fill them with edible beauty: mint, basil, strawberries, grapes, cherry tomatoes. Not only will they thrive in the warmth reflected off the mirror tiles, they'll shimmer like jewels every time the wind moves the leaves. This kind of fence doesn't just divide space. It invites wonder. It makes your garden feel like the courtyard of an old European villa, kissed by sun and touched by time. So if you ever find yourself holding something broken, a mirror, a memory, a leftover shard of what once was, look again. Maybe, just maybe, it's the start of a fence that glows with fruit and reflection. Five. Wicker basket green wall. There's a kind of magic in the ordinary, waiting patiently to be seen. Take a closer look at this garden fence, not just a divider of space, but a canvas of life. Here, old wicker baskets, once destined for dusty corners or forgotten sheds, are reborn as vessels of growth and color. With every twist of the weathered weave, they tell stories of hands that once carried fruit, bread, and laughter across generations. Now, they cradle something new. Strawberries glisten like rubies under the morning sun, their vines cascading gently over the basket edges. Calendula blooms reach upward with golden joy, while mint leaves sway in the breeze, whispering their cool, clean scent into the garden air. A butterfly hovers, uncertain whether it stumbled into a backyard or a dream. These baskets hang effortlessly from the fence, no expensive framework, no grand plan. Just hooks, heart, and imagination. In another corner, cherry tomatoes dance like tiny lanterns against moss-covered boards. The herbs, thyme, basil, lemon balm, spill outward as if grateful to be chosen for a second life. One basket even shelters a tiny bird, hidden beneath the leafy embrace of green. It rests, undisturbed, as though the garden itself is holding its breath in peace. This is more than decoration. It's a vertical garden, alive with texture and rhythm. The baskets are arranged imperfectly, intentionally. Not every line is straight, and that's what makes it feel alive, like music with pauses or poetry with breath. The beauty here isn't just in how it looks, it's in how it feels. Every part of this wall invites you closer. The scent of time, the warmth of the wicker, the play of shadow and light as afternoon arrives. A path nearby invites bare feet and soft footsteps, and somewhere in the distance, a plum tree dances in the breeze. And the best part? You can create this. Find a few old baskets, any shape will do. Line them with fabric or coconut fiber. Fill them with soil, with seeds, with hope. Let strawberries tumble down, let lettuce curl upward, let flowers bloom where they never bloomed before. Hang them on any wooden fence, balcony railing, or even an old pallet leaned against the wall. Because your garden doesn't have to be big to be breathtaking. It only needs heart and a little bit of whimsy. So the next time you see an old basket, don't toss it. Plant something. Hang it. Watch it grow. And maybe, just maybe, you'll begin to see your whole garden differently. Not as a task, but as a living, breathing fairy tale. Six, wooden spoon fairy fence. There's a place in the garden where the ordinary becomes enchanted. A row of wooden spoons and old chopping boards, once forgotten in kitchen drawers, now stand proudly beneath the apple trees, reborn as guardians of greenery. Each one carries a face, a flower, a memory. Some smile shyly with carved cheeks and painted petals. Others bloom with mushrooms, vines, or strawberries, tails etched in grain and varnish. They form not just a fence, but a storyline, a gentle folk tale standing upright along the edge of a garden bed. In the quiet of a golden afternoon, butterflies perch atop wooden forks like crowns on royal messengers. A breeze flutters past, and the herbs below, thyme, rosemary, oregano, sway like they are listening to an old lullaby. What was once trash has become a stage for whimsy. If you listen closely, you might hear the tiny laughter of fairies fluttering just behind the leaves. And the magic? It's not in the carving knives or the paintbrushes. It's in the intention, the love, the invitation to reuse what others discarded and to let it bloom again in new form. This project doesn't ask for perfection. Start with one spoon, one old cutting board. Give it a face, a leaf, a tiny coat of dusty pastel blue. Hang a pot of mint from its handle. Add another tomorrow, then another next week. Let your fence grow like a village, each piece a citizen with a story. Herb pots, moss balls, even tiny twigs can become part of the dream. Paint vines with imperfect swirls. Doodle mushrooms without rules. Let birds perch in brushstrokes. It's not about crafting a masterpiece. It's about crafting joy. In the end, your garden will hold not just plants, but personality. Not just color, but character. A little world that whispers to every visitor, you don't need much, just heart and a bit of imagination. And that, perhaps, is the real beauty of upcycling. Not the cleverness of saving money, but the art of giving a second life and turning forgotten things into fairy tales that live on, right there, in your backyard. So go ahead, open that kitchen drawer. The next great garden fence might already be waiting, right there in your hand. Seven, vintage bike rim garden fence. Sometimes, the most enchanting beauty begins with something forgotten, a rusted bicycle wheel, leaning silently in a dusty shed, waiting. In a quiet countryside garden where morning mist kisses the orchard leaves and cobblestones hold the memory of many barefoot seasons, a transformation has bloomed. Not from marble, nor from gold, but from circles of discarded metal, bent not by time, but by vision. Old bicycle and motorcycle rims, repurposed into poetry, now form an elegant fence of loops and light. One after another, they rise from the earth like halos spun by hands that still believe in wonder. Through each rim, green vines reach out like soft whispers. Morning glories, clematis, and herbs like mint and oregano curl and sway, dancing in the breeze as if the wind itself were humming a lullaby. In between, little jars and baskets dangle, holding flickering candles or the promise of fresh tomatoes, framed like portraits by spokes once made for speed. As sunlight pours over the rims, the metal glints softly, not harsh or cold, but warm like antique silver. The shadows they cast are not just shapes on soil, they are stories etched in curves, telling of forgotten roads, childhood rides, and the graceful resilience of second chances. This isn't just a fence. It's a living sculpture, a rhythmic lullaby in circular verse. Each ring connects past to present. Each spoke now holds new life, rooted in earth, yet rising toward sky. What makes this idea so magical isn't the material, it's the intention. You don't need to buy a thing. Just gather old wheels, some twine, a few garden stakes or wooden frames. Let your plants be the stars, let lavender spill, let tomatoes climb, let candles flicker at dusk. Secure the wheels with simple wire or hooks. Allow asymmetry. Let imperfection lead. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to feel real. And the best part? You can start today. One rim, one pot of time, one corner of your yard. Because in the end, beauty doesn't ask for permission. It just needs a place to grow, and perhaps a little help from you. So next time you see a broken bicycle or a forgotten pile of scrap, don't walk past it. Look again. You might just be staring at the start of your own magical garden fence, one that turns trash into treasure, one ring of wonder at a time. Eight. Upcycled fabric tapestry fence. In the quiet corners of a garden touched by imagination, something unexpected begins to grow, not just herbs and greens, but stories. This isn't just a fence. It's a tapestry of memory and care, hand-stitched from the things the world nearly threw away. Old patchwork quilts, once faded and folded at the back of a linen drawer, now rise like prayer flags along the garden's edge. Each scrap of fabric holds its own history. A dress worn on a summer's day, a baby's first blanket, a curtain that once danced with the wind. Now, they come together in a patchwork parade of color and texture, fluttering gently in the breeze like pages of a book yet to be written. Nestled into these soft panels are repurposed burlap sacks, the kind once used to carry sugar, coffee, or rice, now holding life again in the form of lettuce, romaine, basil, kale. Their earthy roughness is softened by the soft quilt backdrops, forming living pouches of green against prints of florals, paisleys, and vines. Beneath them, a collection of vintage suitcases sits slightly open, their linings faded with time. Where once they carried dreams of faraway places, they now carry something even more grounding, the scent of fresh oregano, lavender, mint, and tiny strawberries nestled in the soil like hidden treasures. These suitcases have become tiny garden beds, containers of magic and meaning, each plant a silent poem growing toward the sun. What makes this idea so beautiful isn't just the aesthetics, though that, too, is undeniable. It's the practicality wrapped in poetry. These vertical pouches make use of small spaces. They let you grow your salad garden on a fence or a wall. The suitcases act as movable planters with character, keeping herbs organized and mobile for when the sun shifts or the seasons change. If you're inspired to recreate this, don't aim for perfection, aim for feeling. Start with scraps you love. A piece of old fabric, a burlap bag from the market, even a curtain with a story. Stitch them together, clip them to a rope, and let the wind do the rest. Then, fill the pockets with soil and seeds, or transplant the leafy greens you've been growing in pots. Tuck lavender into a corner of a suitcase. Let strawberries trail softly over the edge. Watch as the fence becomes not just a border, but a sanctuary. And maybe, just maybe, as you stand there watching it grow, you'll find yourself breathing a little deeper. Not just because of the rosemary in the air, but because you've made beauty where others saw trash. You've created something timeless, something hopeful, something yours. So, no, you'll never look at fabric scraps, old bags, or dusty suitcases the same way again. And maybe that's the most magical harvest of all. Nine, clay pot bounty border. There's something about old clay pots that feels like they remember things. Maybe it's the way the terracotta holds onto the warmth of the afternoon sun, or the way the tiny cracks on its surface tell stories of summers past. In this garden, those stories have been gently rewritten into a new chapter, not discarded, but reborn, forming a low, rambling fence of life, edging the path like a living border between the ordinary and the magical. Each pot, once forgotten in a dusty shed or crumbling in a forgotten corner, now stands proudly, reborn as part of a clay pot bounty border. Lined neatly in rows or whimsically stacked in rustic patterns, these pots cradle the vibrant life of a garden that knows how to give. Bright strawberries dangle like rubies from leafy crowns, their sweetness kissed by the sun. Between them, tufts of thyme brush your fingers as you pass, soft, fragrant, and ancient in their wisdom. The occasional marigold peeks out, cheeky and golden, warding off pests while offering a little burst of joy to anyone who lingers. There's a rhythm here, a softness, a reason to pause. Even the placement is poetic, some pots upright, others tilted just so, as if they've leaned into the wind to whisper secrets to one another. And beneath them, moss creeps gently, as if nature herself is reaching up to be part of this quiet celebration. Above, grapevines stretch across a pergola, casting lacy shadows that dance across the gravel path below, a living curtain of shade for this humble stage of beauty. And what's truly remarkable? You can do this. You don't need a grand estate or expensive materials. Just a collection of old pots, mismatched, weathered, maybe chipped, but still whole in their purpose. Stack them, balance them, let them lean on one another like friends in a story. Fill them with soil, seeds, and hope. Herbs are generous and forgiving. Thyme, basil, rosemary. Strawberries? Even more so. They love shallow roots and warm soil. Add some trailing flowers or edible blooms for a touch of whimsy, calendula, nasturtium, or even pansies in spring. With time, the pots will age even more beautifully. The clay will darken with rain. The moss will grow thicker. The fence will settle deeper into your garden, not just as a boundary, but as a bridge. Between past and present. Between what was thrown away, and what has become too beautiful to ever forget again. And maybe, just maybe, a robin will come perch on the rim of one, its feathers ruffling in the breeze, watching quietly as you pick a berry and smile. You won't look at trash the same way again. 10. Mirror and ladder herb fence. As sunlight stretches across the garden, you begin to realize this isn't just a fence. It's a quiet declaration that beauty lives in the forgotten, that magic can be grown in the margins of what we once considered trash. An old wooden ladder leans gently against a rustic fence, no longer a tool for climbing, but for nurturing life. Along its steps, terracotta pots cradle lush herbs, basil, rosemary, lemon balm, lavender, each one glowing under the morning sun. What might have once been broken mirror pieces now glint like scattered fairy light, casting soft flickers across the leaves and the pathway below. The reflections shift and dance, as if the fence itself is breathing with the rhythm of the day. This simple yet stunning transformation whispers an invitation to reuse, to reimagine, to rebuild. It's a vertical garden, yes, but it's also a storybook page pulled into real life. Where some saw a discarded mirror and a weathered ladder, someone else saw possibility. You don't need a large backyard or expensive materials to replicate this. All you need is a bit of patience, a few simple tools, and a willingness to let your imagination lead. Sand down an old ladder or shelf. Attach small mirror shards or vintage tiles. Be gentle, and let the shapes tell their own story. Add wire rings or holders for your herb pots. Place it where light meets wood, and the sun will do the rest. And soon, you'll find yourself walking past your new mirror herb fence not just to water the plants, but to pause, to breathe. To watch bees hum near the rosemary, to catch a glint of light dancing off the basil leaves. You might even see a bird land near the thyme, rustling through the leaves as if blessing your little creation. It's amazing, really, what happens when you stop seeing something as broken and start seeing it as waiting. So don't throw away that old ladder. Don't discard those chipped tiles or cracked mirrors. They might just be the soul of your next garden story. If this video made you smile or sparked an idea in your heart, consider giving it a like, sharing it with a fellow garden dreamer, and subscribing to Backyard Fortune. Every upcycled fence begins with a single step, and your backyard might just be the next fairy tale. Drop a comment below if you're building one of these, or if you've got your own magical twist to share. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep planting hope, and keep seeing beauty where others see trash.